Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Random Talk with NG. My name is Ngozi Obiefuna, and it's such a delight to be here again. I hope the past week was a beautiful one for you, and you were able to achieve all you set out to do. I also love to thank you all for your comments and reviews on the previous episode planning, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Today, I would love to briefly explore the topic strategy. What does strategy mean to you? We often hear people talk about plans and strategy. Are they alike? Do they mean the same thing? Is strategy same as aspiration or best practices? In times past, we have established that planning is deciding how to do something. However, strategy, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, is a detailed plan for achieving success in situations, or we could say it's the skill of making such plans. How exactly do we plan to achieve such a goal? In considering strategy, we need to think about three things. The first is allocation of resources, then the unique activity system, and goal achievement. There is this quote by Lee Bowman: "A vision without a strategy remains an illusion." In determining your strategy, how best do you allocate your resources? And by resources, I mean your time, your talent, and your budget. I've sat and listened through various strategy sessions in times past, and I can clearly remember how well these three things were talked about. Not properly allocating your resources could affect your overall strategy. Clayton Christensen once said that you can talk all you want about having a clear purpose and strategy for your life, but ultimately this means nothing if you're not investing the resources you have in a way that is consistent with your strategy. In the end, a strategy is nothing but good intentions unless it is effectively implemented. With regards to unique allocation of system, in order to actually add value, you need to approach or carry out an activity with something that makes you stand out or differ from the others. Michael Porter once said, "Strategy is about setting yourself apart from the competition. It's not a matter of being better at what you do. It's a matter of being different at what you do." What makes company A or individual A perform better than the others? So consider two individuals offering the same services. What makes individual A different or more sought after than the other? You would like to wonder, do they not all carry out the same activity? Don't they offer the same services? Well, look closely and you will discover that the strategy differs, or we can say the difference is in the strategy. Individual A has a better strategy than the other and a better way to create distinct value. Emphasis on distinct. It makes no sense to think that you can be better if you keep being a shadow or a photocopy of others. Develop a different strategy, have a unique allocation of system, and you would find yourself excelling at all the things you've sought out to do. Goal achievement. It is always said that a good plan answers two questions. The first is, what are you trying to achieve? That is your goal. The next is, how will you achieve it? That is your strategy. In drawing up a plan, while we may think it's best to start with a strategy, we need to remember that you need to know where you're going before you can determine how best to get there. A sound strategy starts with having the right goal. Listen to Emeka Iyama share his thoughts on what strategy is and what strategy means to him.
Strategy is a series of actions that you take on in order to achieve a planned result. So, for instance, you have set goals for the new year. The next thing that you want to do after that is to then build action points that you would use to achieve that goal that you have set. So that's simply what strategy is. Sometimes we even strategize without even knowing that we're doing it. One thing that I've learned is that the best strategies are those ones that flow with our already built habits or maybe our current life circumstance. I'll give an example here. So sometime in 2020, people were starting to tell me how I was getting a bit of weight. And, I then said I had a goal to lose a lot of that weight. After getting that goal, the next thing was then to build in my strategy which is then the series of actions that I would use to lose that weight. And at that point I had to take a step back, and I had to consider everything I had going on around me, my work demands, my financial circumstance, and then say, do I want to go to a gym? Do I want to start playing football? Do I want to sort of start a dance class? Do I want to start running? Because all of these actions will help me achieve the goal, because I would effectively be burning calories by doing these things, and ultimately I would lose that weight. So I ultimately stick to running, because that sort of felt like the most reasonable thing that wasn't going to ruin a lot of my life plans, and it wasn't going to interfere too much with my work. So effectively, that's what you do when you want to strategize. You take a step back, you try to look for the series of action plans that would help you achieve your goal. It's always best to look at those ones that you can easily fit in without causing a lot of imbalance, and it also would not conflict too much with the other goals that you already have set for yourself.
Here's what Chioma, the fairy godmother and director at Christerfield Events, has to say about strategy.
Hello, and thank you for having me on Random Talks with NG. My name is Chioma, the fairy godmother. I was told to talk briefly on strategy, and I'm sure a whole lot of us have been using the word strategy in our daily lives. While some of us may understand what strategy is, some may not really understand the word strategy. So I'll first of all start by defining strategy. Strategy is simply a plan of action you put together to achieve a long-term goal. Simply put, you have made your plans towards achieving a goal and all that. What are those steps you put in place towards achieving those goals? That is a strategy. Those steps can be called strategy. So that is what we'll be looking at today. And briefly, I'll give us like 2 to 3 points on how to develop a strategy for our daily lives. The first one is understand your current position. Now, for you to put a strategy in place towards achieving your goals, you need to understand your current position. Your current position is going to help you and determine your next move on what you're going to do. For example, probably you are in your office and you feel like eating noodles. That is your current position, your office. You feel like eating noodles. Now, will you go prepare noodles to eat, or will you place an order for noodles to eat? Your current position at that time will help you determine the strategy you're going to use to achieve your goal of eating the noodles. To some, it may simply mean, of course, order your noodles. You see, your current position helped you to make that strategy of, ordering a noodle or a plate of noodle is a way to go instead of cooking it. So those are one of the things you need to understand when you want to develop a strategy, understanding your current position. The second one is reflect on how you got there. Reflect on how you got to that current position. Definitely, you did not just wake up one day and you found yourself in that current position. You may have been in point A. Now you're in point C. How did you get to point C? That is what you need to reflect on. Did you jump a step from A and you just jumped to C? Or did you take it gradually from A to B to C? Now that is what you need to reflect on, because it's going to help you in the next step you're going to use to get to your desired point. The third one is analyze your strength and weakness. It's very important. Your strength can either be your motivational tonic, or your weakness can mar your strategy to achieving your goals. So you sit down, you analyze your strengths, you analyze your weakness. That way you need to know that, okay, my weakness is going to draw me back. My strength is going to help spur me on. So analyzing them is very important. And the last one is set objectives. Set objectives is very important. You have analyzed your weakness and all that. You need to set objectives of how am I going to achieve that goal or those goals I need to achieve. Probably I need to save up $1,000 for a month. My objectives may be, no clubbing, no cinema, no going out and all that, because I need to set some little kind of goals to make sure I achieve my $1,000 goal. So those are 3 to 4 points, I guess, you need to develop a strategy. And I hope this helps someone out there. Thank you once again for having me. I am Chioma, the fairy godmother.
I recently stumbled on a tale of two companies and their strategic focus. These companies are Walmart and Kmart. You should read it up. It was quite an interesting read. It shows how two people or companies could be carrying out the same services but have different strategies, goals, and actions. Wow. Reflecting on strategy has shown me the loopholes in my previous strategies and ways in which I can always develop a better one. It's time for us to get back to our drawing boards and review the strategies we've developed for the plans we made. If you're looking for a book to read on strategy, I'll strongly recommend Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. I'd love to thank the contributors for today, Emeka Yama and Chioma, the fairy godmother and director of Christafield Events. Till I come your way next time, this is Random Talk with NG by Ngozi Obiefuna, and I'm always rooting for you. Cheers.